You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's WWE SummerSlam After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's WWE SummerSlam After Show.
As we kick it off with Fandangoing, because that was pretty much the theme throughout the night of an awesome SummerSlam at Staples Center. Welcome, everybody. Bing is for doing, and we are here doing the SummerSlam AfterBuzz for you. Welcome. My name is Christian Rosenberg. Some people call me professional wrestling's voice of choice. As always, you can be the judge of that. And I am being joined by AfterBuzz's executive producer and one of the stars of SummerSlam this evening, Mr. Phil Svitek.
Welcome, everybody. Yes, it was a lot of fun. And yes, I was in the Ryback promo tonight. And,
Phil and Ryan Klum from Monday Night Raw AfterBuzz were a part of the Ryback backstage, making your WWE on-screen debuts. Both before me, you bastards.
It was a lot of fun. So I'll have some cool. A lot of the stuff that I have to talk about is more backstage stuff. I didn't catch all the matches until CM Punk, and I was ringside for that stuff. So I'll have a lot to contribute there.
He was, and I have the proof for it right here. He's given me his ticket. It's kind of hard, obviously, to see from the camera, but I'll read it. It's the SummerSlam Staples Center, row 1, seat 6. Complimentary. This guy had it all. He was backstage with Ryback, complimentary ringside seat for CM Punk and Lesnar.
We'll be giving away. We have 2 chairs to give away.
Yeah.
We'll give one out on SmackDown. We'll give one out on Monday Night Raw. So it'll be fun. So tune in.
Tune into those to try to win a SummerSlam exclusive chair.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
It's gonna be great.
I love it, and I love this whole pay-per-view overall. I thought this pay-per-view was outstanding. Let's start with the pre-show. First, one thing with the pre-show though, they were promoting all week long. It was gonna be Shawn Michaels, Booker T, and Natalya doing the pre-show, and there was no Natalya. It was Vicky Guerrero, which I found kind of surprising that they've done all this, promotion, and all of a sudden, last minute changes happen. But when you know that Natalya earlier in the day, which we'll get to in a little bit, was wrestling at Access, and obviously she had her pay-per-view match, it's like, well, maybe she's a little busy. Get someone else to do the pre-show. So, promote someone else. But, I mean, overall, I thought the three of them did a good job. I felt Shawn Michaels kind of felt out of place because Booker and Vicky were busy arguing about being general manager of SmackDown. But it was kind of entertaining. It was different to see Shawn Michaels with that ginormous beard he has now.
Yeah, it was fun kind of seeing their dynamic, just even backstage, kind of preparing for it. Again, a lot of those bits I didn't get to see.
Right.
The matches I did. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. Like overall, I found it entertaining. I mean, they had me tuned in pretty much the entire hour with the build-ups. Not really much computer issues for them this time. I know some of their pre-shows have had some problems.
They've gotten better at it.
Yeah. So it seemed for the most part to stream fairly smooth, at least for me. I didn't see anybody complain about it. And one of the big highlights of the pre-show was Paul Heyman had a promo where he announced that the match later on in the night was going to be a no DQ match. So it was like, kind of an exclusive thing for the pre-show, which is kind of cool. So, like, make sure people tune into the pre-show more because who knows, something might change for the pay-per-view, so you can prepare for that. And then we had the United States Championship match of Dean Ambrose versus Rob Van Dam, which great way to start the match.
Even on paper, it felt really good, and I always kind of expected the Shield to get involved in some sort of way, especially since there is disqualification, and the title can't change, of course. Mm-hmm. Given that, so I felt that going into it, but the way I like the big three, as I'm going to call them.
The big of RVD, Mark Henry, and Big Show? That is a pretty big three.
That is a massive three.
That is a ginormous three.
You know, so I don't know where they're going with that, but just, you know, just that in general, I love kind of the possibility.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I also like the fact they gave this match time. This match went somewhere between 20 and 25 minutes, which is outstanding. To me, it made me feel like they're making the U.S. title mean something, which it hasn't in a long time. And between the Battle Royal this past Raw and this title match with Dean Ambrose ended up losing by DQ, so he doesn't lose the title. I thought, you know, they're building something with Ambrose. They're building the U.S. title, and they're making it seem like, superstars should be vying for this coveted championship again. And
yeah,
I think that's fantastic. But yeah, the match ended with Roman Reigns entering the ring at the end after RVD hit his 5-star frog splash and spearing the crap out of him. And then they run off before Mark Henry and Big Show can grab them. And so this obviously isn't the end. I can see tag title match happen. I thought the tag title match was going to happen tonight with Mark Henry and Big Show against Rollins and Reigns. Maybe it'll happen tomorrow night on Raw.
Possibly.
But
I do gotta say I did enjoy RVD a lot. I mean, he's so just for a man his size, the spontaneity of which it seems that he does his moves is just fantastic.
Oh yeah, and he doesn't age.
No.
The man has looked the same for 15, 20 years now. It's just crazy.
Here's the it's funny because you know, we'll obviously talk about the promo, but everyone that came to the set, it was the real catering set, but they kept trying to take the food from there, and RVD was one of the guys who's like, hey, can I get? Everyone's like, no, it's prop food. You can't have it. It's prop food.
But I want that chicken.
Yeah, it was real chicken. Everything was real.
Was it real gazpacho?
It was, but they just couldn't. No one was allowed to touch it, and like so many of the superstars were disappointed because they were like, wait,
they were getting pissed. They're like, I want food, and you're not letting me touch the food.
So it was kind of funny, but yeah, RVD was one of those guys.
That's funny.
I was like, can't I just have a piece of chicken? Anyway,
nice.
It's neither here nor there.
Well, then the pay-per-view officially begins, and it kicks off with The Miz coming out, introducing himself, introducing the show, letting people know that there's two main events, if we didn't know that already, with Punk and Lesnar and Cena and Daniel Bryan. And then he gets interrupted by the music we had leading this in, Fandango, who just kind of danced around him, and Miz was doing his, really? And I was thinking this is going to lead to something. Maybe they're going to interact, and it's going to be a fun little promo thing at the beginning of the show. And then Miz is like, oh, well, welcome to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And just ended.
Well, you know, I knew kind of ahead of time because they shot a bunch of, you know, I saw them shoot all the promos, right?
Sure.
Because obviously Maria was in one of them.
Yes.
And so I knew where it was kind of headed. I don't know, you know, I think, do you think they're setting up for a feud between the two?
I think that's good. I mean, because Miz has absolutely nothing going on, and Fandango needs somebody to feud with, so he'd be on TV. So I'm okay with that feud happening. I just found it very odd that they're maybe trying to start it with this kind of setup. And it just felt really odd to me at the very beginning of the show, to just have that. I mean, it could have even been kind of comical if you brought other people that dance out there with Fandango. Like all of a sudden, Tons of Fun came out. All of a sudden, Great Khali comes out. And they just start doing a random dance party to start it off. I mean, it seems kind of comical. It seems kind of out there, but so did this intro to me.
I mean, but at the same time, Fandango's so egotistical that he wouldn't. He doesn't.
Well, no, he would complain about sharing the spotlight, and then they'd all beat him down.
Yeah.
And that'd be kind of funny.
Perhaps. By the way, shout out to JoJo for singing the American.
She did a very nice job. The national anthem, she did a great job. I almost was like, wow, it's interesting. Lillian Garcia is introducing JoJo sing national anthem, because Lillian Garcia normally sings it a lot. I think it was nice of her to let JoJo sing it this time, and I thought JoJo did a very good job with it.
Yes.
And then we start the pay-per-view action with the Ring of Fire.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was so bummed because I wasn't allowed to kind of. They said, okay, we have your complimentary tickets, but you'll get them after the Ring of Fire match. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? That's the one I wanted to see.
I thought it was really interesting that they opened the pay-per-view with this match. I was not expecting that at all.
It makes sense to me to kind of get that out of the way.
I can understand with the props, like, you know, because obviously to set up the fire thing. At the same time, normally you want to start a pay-per-view with guys that, maybe very quick, like to go all out, to get the crowd pumped up, the real energy starter. But
here's the thing, for the live audience, you got that with the preview match from Dean Ambrose and Mark Henry. Yes,
they did. I just think, though, still for the pay-per-view audience, because they're going to be cheering. I mean, we were in the screening room cheering and booing. Like, we were energized for stuff, too. But this match, it kind of threw me off because this is normally, the way these guys wrestle would normally be a match would be like number 2 or 3 on the card. It's not trying to put them down in any way because I thought overall the match was good. It's, they're not, these aren't like the quick guys to start like really getting the energy up in the crowd. But what really did was the first bump that was taken when all of a sudden the fire shot up in the match, because every bump, all of a sudden the fire just rose up during the ring and the crowd ate that up. And I just can't imagine how hot. I mean, it's hot enough with the lights under the ring, but let alone being literally surrounded by fire between Kane, Bray Wyatt, and the referee, and just how exhausted they had to be from the heat.
Yeah, it was, it certainly got very hot. I mean, those guys afterwards, they were sweating buckets.
I'm sure.
I guess it is interesting you say that it started off slow. I mean, I love the Wyatt family entrance.
Yes.
But it definitely is very, very slow. You know what I mean? Take CM Punk, take anyone's kind of entrance music, and it just has that loudness. Mm-hmm. Whereas obviously with the Wyatt family, it's very, very
quiet,
slow.
Mellow, slow.
Yeah. So I'll accept your criticism.
All right, he accepts it. I thought it was kind of interesting watching Harper and Rowan keep trying to find different ways to put the fire out, and nothing was working for them.
Yeah, and having the firemen, I thought that was a good little bit. Them trying to pass the stick onto him.
The kendo stick catch on fire. I think it was meant to catch a little more on fire than it did, but like you just saw like the little flames on the handle, which made it work.
But then all these different aspects sparked. Okay, how can we get in there? And with the fire extinguisher, you would think, okay, I could. They tried to put out the line. Obviously, that didn't work. So I thought all of those different bits made sense.
Yeah, and then the quickness of when they found like the black tarp or whatever it was to throw it on, that covered the fire, and then quickly they grabbed the steps so they can climb over it. And then the beatdown commenced because, meanwhile, during the ring, Kane was destroying Bray Wyatt in this match.
Yeah,
like I was honestly a little surprised of the lack of offense that I felt Bray Wyatt got overall until Harper and Rowan got in the ring, and then they beat him down. They all took care of him. The sister Abigail, 1, 2, 3. Bray Wyatt gets the win, and then they bring him out and they crush Kane's head in between the ring steps, and then cart him off like he was just like their new victim. They just kind of carried him out, and it's just like, what's happening to Kane?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the match was overall really good, but then to see that's what for me slowed it down a little bit, because then that just took a little bit longer. And it was interesting, Jerry Lawler had he had a great point of like, wouldn't it be fun, imagine if someone got thrown out of the ring and how you're going to get back in, and then you get DQ'd on a count out.
Yeah.
That would have been fun to kind of see, if that was possible. You know what I mean? Just throw someone out of the ring. All right, now come back in because it's going to be a count out.
Sure. But in the end, like I said, overall, I thought it was a different way, not what I expected to start off the pay-per-view, but entertaining match, and obviously the crowd really into it because the crowd loves the Wyatts and they loved seeing the fire.
I mean, for me, I really, the only thing that I really wish, I was so excited for this match, and I wanted it to be, rather than just the Ring of Fire, I wanted it to be an Inferno match.
Well, of course, we all want the Inferno match, but it's the PG era. We can't set anybody on fire anymore. Come on. What are you thinking, Phil?
But I'm glad they at least had like the boldness, because I didn't even expect it for SummerSlam. When you think SummerSlam, at least for me, I don't think so it was cool to kind of bring that element and go for it.
Well, it's been what, like 15 years since we've had fire surround the ring, whether it was an Inferno match or a Ring of Fire match. So it was really cool for it to be brought back overall. From there, we get the match that I thought was going to be the opener, but ended up being match number 2. Damian Sandow versus Cody Rhodes, because this is where the high energy picked up. These guys just kept going nonstop. And both guys, to me, were very impressive. I mean, this was one of Sandow's first big singles pay-per-view matches. Yeah. He had a match with Sheamus on the pre-show a few months ago, and then he was obviously in the Money in the Bank, but he hasn't had a big feud for a big like one-on-one match like he did tonight, and I thought he did fantastic, as did Cody. And the crowd kind of was shocked at first because Cody shaved the mustache. It's like,
yeah,
why?
For the crowd, you
why
really know.
did he shave the mustache? He has a T-shirt for it.
Well, that's gone.
Now they got to make a new T-shirt.
Or just grow a mustache again.
Or just grow the mustache back.
I enjoyed these two guys, and I like where this is going. How you know they made the point of, okay, if Sandow cashes in and wins, that puts kind of Cody in line for the title shot. So I like that aspect of it because he keeps winning, and you know, I never have a full opinion on Sandow in terms of whether I like him or hate him, but I do like Cody. Mm-hmm. You know,
I mean, I'm personally a big fan of both of them, and we saw some moves from both of them that we don't normally see. Sandow did this move that was kind of like a sharpshooter, but it wasn't. It was like he kind of set him up, but then kind of turned him to his side, and was just like, that's a unique submission move. I want to see that more often. And Cody delivered. There was a point in the match, a move that's called a muscle buster, which you pretty much kind of cradle the guy on the shoulders to slam him down. And you don't see that move very often, let alone a guy that's the size of Cody. Usually that move's like a super big guy. That'd be like a Brock Lesnar move. Mm-hmm. But we got it out of Cody, which I thought was very unique. And in the end, we had Crossroads, and Cody gets the win and upsets the man with the Money in the Bank briefcase, who then runs over in fear and grabs his briefcase afterwards while Cody Rhodes celebrates.
Again, I think you know, nice build up for the future. You know, it was good to see on the SummerSlam. I think it was a good match, but again, I think overall it's just going to be a more long-term thing.
As I hope it is, because I want these guys to keep feuding. I mean, I'm with you. Have Sandow maybe sometime soon cash in, win, and then, well, Cody, hey, I just beat you. I'm the number one contender then. And I'm keep feuding now with the title on the line. Because both guys deserve to get that push to be in the World Heavyweight picture.
I just, for the SummerSlam, I wish there were a few more title matches. You know, and more kind of bigger kind of epicness. You know what I mean? Whereas like this one, again, like I'm all for setting things up for the future. Mm-hmm. But I also wish, you know, there was some... You know, like Punk versus Lesnar. That was
right.
You know, it's epic. Mm-hmm. And I wish some of these earlier matches had that kind of gravitas.
Well, it's funny because I kind of disagree with you on that. Reason being, you go back to the Attitude Era. You know, 1998, 99, 2000. The pay-per-views had like 8 to 10 matches on them. It was stacked, and there were tons of matches that didn't necessarily have a title on the line. They were just feuds that were being built not with a title. And nowadays we'll have some pay-per-views that are 5 or 6 matches, mostly title matches, and like one match that doesn't have a title that was all the feud, like the big feud centered around. So we had 8 matches, including the pre-show. We had 8 matches tonight, and I'm okay with some of the matches not having the titles because there are stories that happen that don't necessarily have to involve the title. Personally, I would have liked to see the Intercontinental title in there too, just because I absolutely love that title. But I was fine. I was fine with the fact that we had several matches that didn't necessarily have a title on the line, that were actually building a story or building people up to get that title shot. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we have more on that a little later. But speaking of titles, the next match we had was one of my favorites of the night, the World Heavyweight title. Alberto Del Rio defending against Christian. And this match had everything. This match, I would rank personally number 2 on the pay-per-view. I personally enjoyed this match more than...
Second to CM Punk?
Yes.
Okay.
To me, I felt it was a little more captivating than Cena Daniel Bryan, which I did thoroughly enjoy as well. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, there's something about this match. Maybe it was the fact that Del Rio looked like he was hit on the side of his face with a freight train by the match was over because he had a black eye, his nose was cut. I mean, he looked like he went to war with Christian.
Yeah, he did certainly take a beating.
Yeah. And Christian felt like he was going to war as well with all the pain that he was having in the shoulder. Building up the story how that's why Christian was gone for so long. He had surgery on that shoulder, and that's what Alberto Del Rio naturally works on, the arm and shoulder for the cross arm breaker. Just lots and lots and lots of counters.
What do you think of not using Ricardo at all? To kind of, again, that to me, that would have been fun. I feel.
On the main event show, my prediction was Del Rio would win because Ricardo came out and to redeem himself and help him win. But I think maybe they're deciding against that because Ricardo gets cheered. The crowd loves to do the intro with Ricardo. They enjoy Ricardo. And obviously they don't want the crowd to necessarily enjoy Del Rio. They want them to hate him. So I think it was getting to the point where Ricardo Rodriguez is getting too popular as a good guy. So they
but
got
side
to
him with
separate
Christian
him.
to go against the,
But then where do you go from there? That's the problem. They don't want to do necessarily a one-time thing. And then, Ricardo's not going to hang out with Christian all the time. They're, too different necessarily. But I don't know.
Again, a really, really good match. And it was, for me, Christian was a surprise from the get-go, after that three-way match.
Nobody expected Christian to come out of that match.
And so, for what it was a really, really good match.
I mean, Christian's been great, and he got his one more match. I mean, he got a new T-shirt that says the one more match on the back of it now, but he lost.
He didn't get the title.
But he didn't get the job done. So what happens to Christian now? Because the story with the commentary in this match was, Christian might think he's never going to get another chance at it again. Like they're preluding, maybe Christian's reaching the end of his career here. So we'll have to see where he takes it from here and how it goes. But what I want our listeners to do from here is to make sure that they go to iTunes and like and subscribe, and of course give us that 5-star rating for this and all the other great AfterBuzz shows that we have here. And you can check them all out on the brand newly upgraded, that sounded weird, the newly upgraded AfterBuzzTV.com, where you can watch the shows live and check out what all your hosts are up to. And please tell friends about the wonderful world of AfterBuzz, because that's how we keep this thing going. And we do all different shows, from wrestling to reality to comedy to drama. You name it, we do it. So make sure you tell people about the good word of AfterBuzz.
That's right.
You like that?
I like that.
I think it might have been my first time plugging out with the boss in the room with me, so hopefully I did that all right.
And on a side note, it's going to be fun. A lot of superstars we met backstage, and it's just a matter of scheduling. But they're excited to be a part of this, whether in studio or just kind of calling in. We'll get a lot more calling in, but as time develops, a few might make their way into the studio.
And we're picking up steam here at AfterBuzz. This is
gonna be fun.
The way 2013 is closing out for us is looking pretty damn good, and I'm excited for it. Speaking of pretty damn good, now we get some footage from Access earlier today, where our own Miss Maria Menounos and her tag partner Natalya were victorious in her tag match against Brie Bella and Eva Marie. Maria is the Undertaker of divas. She is undefeated. She never loses. Yeah, she's like 5-0, 4-0,
4-0 as of now.
As of now, she is 4-0. So she's just piling on those wins one after another. Nobody can stop her.
You know what? It was great to kind of. It was great.
And you were there to watch it.
I was there to watch it. It was a lot of fun. The crowd really got behind Maria, and it was great to see Eva Marie as well.
How did she do? Because I'm really curious about her. Because I'm not a fan of hers yet, personally. I mean, I think she needs a lot more work still.
I think for that one, it was the right venue to kind of get her some training.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And in that match, she did it overall good. I'm not going to point out the bad stuff.
Sure.
Again, I think to a degree, everyone knew that, okay, this is a match where we're going to try stuff out and we're going to build upon that. And so overall, it was a very good match.
Cool.
And it was a lot of fun. And you know what? The team that needed to win won, which was Natty and Maria Menounos.
There you go. And then Maria is backstage with the SummerSlam host, The Miz.
By the way, I do have to say it was great to Brie is smart on her feet. She mocked Maria by saying extra, read all about it, as she's hitting Maria. Which is fun.
Nice.
That was kind of fun to see.
Well, Maria is celebrating backstage with The Miz as he's interviewing her from one host to another host, as he called it, asking her like how it felt to be back in the ring and winning the match. And once again, Fandango interrupts The Miz, and him and Summer Rae just kind of dance around him, and Miz and Maria are like, hold up.
Little did Fandango know that Maria was on Dancing with the Stars.
Maria was on Dancing with the Stars. And apparently Miz is taking some dance lessons, because all of a sudden the two of them kind of step in front and they stomp the yard. They, if you want to say, they outshined Fandango and Summer Rae, and they then kind of Miz and Maria waltzed their way off, and Fandango and Summer Rae just
that was Fandango's real reaction to that.
He was very jealous. He was frustrated.
He literally wasn't expecting that.
He's like, wait a minute, they were good. They were better. They were better than Fandango and Summer Rae. So Maria won twice in one day. She won a dance contest too.
There you go. Is Summer Rae considered a diva? Or just a dancer?
She's a diva.
Okay.
If you're on WWE TV and you're a female, technically you're a diva. Lillian Garcia is a diva.
Okay.
Yeah. And then from there, speaking of divas, we get Natalya versus Brie Bella. A lot of people were kind of, general consensus was people were kind of upset that this was on the card, but I thought they did a great job. I was happy that they gave them, this match went about 10 minutes. They gave them a good amount of time, and I enjoyed it.
Everyone got involved.
Everyone got involved. Brie looked very good in this match. I thought Natalya looked good as well. The Funkadactyls, Eva Marie, and Nikki kind of went at it a little bit. And I kind of want to applaud the commentators in this match, because there's when the LA crowd, it's one of those rowdy crowds where they'll just start chanting whatever they want. That's one of those cities that does it. So they're chanting for JBL. They're chanting for Michael Cole. And the commentators just like very briefly acknowledge it, but then their attention, their focus is on the match. They're not talking about other things. They're giving the divas in the ring their respect and their attention.
Yeah.
And they deserved it, because it was a good match. I really like the spot where Nikki and Eva Marie like pulled the ring skirt, and Natalya looked like it took a nasty fall when she kind of fell in between it. But it's a unique spot that you don't see very often, so I like how they added it into this match. And overall, at the end, Natalya gets to win with a sharpshooter. But again, a really good match. No title on the line in this match, but still, I thought it was an entertaining match.
But, what I like about it is, especially watching Total Divas, for me, I like how kind of that is developing. All these different elements are kind of coming together and making a great story. And Eva Marie, she's kind of being pushed over just because of that show. She on the show comes off very much like a heel. And so then, okay, you pair her right now with the Bellas, and it gives them an easier way to launch the divas, than historically, I feel. And so it's good to see.
And what I think with this match, I think it's going to end up, now they're going to start pushing Natalya to be the next one to feud with AJ. I think Natalya is next in line for a Divas title shot now, which would be great for Total Divas to actually have one of the people be like, the one in line for a title shot, because they don't have that on the show right now as of yet. Then we get to this little segment in the back. Ryback's there. There's a bunch of food, and there's a lot of random people behind him. Oh wait, so were you? You and Ryan Klum were back there.
Yes.
Ryan Klum was pushing all of you guys to get away from Ryback.
Well, it was one of those situations. They wanted us up front, and it was originally going to be me in the front, and I said, "No, Ryan, you're the wrestler. You can actually kind of act. You do it. This is your shot."
Oh, that's very nice of you.
So, I let him be first, and yeah.
And
originally the plan was to
we need more about this because like you actually were a part of a segment that we saw on pay-per-view. 99.99999% of the people that listen in dream of doing something like this.
I mean, you know, it certainly was a lot of fun. Ryback is just as intimidating in real life. He really is when he wants to be. And so, you know, it's not really too difficult for him to act. Mm-hmm. So he did a fantastic job, and that was real Kabachi.
Gazpacho?
Gazpacho, yeah. Gazpacho.
When the camera stopped rolling, did you guys eat what you put on your plates?
No. No, at that point, no, just the food had been sneezed on, and
lovely.
You don't want to touch that.
How was the catering though?
The catering, I mean, WWE really dials it in. There was amazing catering. There was steaks, there was fish fillet, there was just amazing. But yeah, I really like the bit when as I'm listening to it, you know, the fact that it's, you know, the soup's cold. Yeah, it's supposed to be.
It's gazpacho. I knew that.
Yeah. And you know, you had a good theory on this. They don't know exactly what to do with Ryback, so continue him as a heel, and then eventually something will present itself.
See, if I was thinking, but now we got this whole kind of Shield and Mark Henry, Big Show thing. To me, with Ryback, he's like pushing around like the little guys around. Well, it makes perfect sense for then him to feud with Big Show. But Big Show's kind of in a mix of the Shield thing right now, so who knows how long that will last, if they'll keep doing this Ryback thing for a little while until that happens, or if they got someone else in mind. Just a random thought that I had. But I'm enjoying this Ryback. I like this kind of pushing guy around. In the whole Be a Star campaign, it's nice to actually have a guy trying to be the bully, and then people have to step up to the bully. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of cool.
I love his, you know, Ryan Klum describes his jacket as like a Sons of Anarchy jacket. Mm-hmm. You know, which is fun to see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how jacked is he, like, I mean, he's jacked alone on TV, but in person they're even bigger. So, I mean, is he the type of guy that, like, might not even be able to fit through a door because he's just so freaking jacked?
No, you know, he's not as big as you think, but big. I mean, you could definitely see his strength, but he's not as big as you would think, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. You know, so okay. Ryback, hopefully you take that in the spirit which is intended, instead of me calling you out as a...
Ryback, you're really strong, you're really big, don't hurt me. Go for him. From there, we go... Oh, you were about to say something else. Oh, wait.
Oh, no. No, so at this point, finally, I'm able to...
now you're getting to your ringside seat.
Yes, now, you know, and literally, so we just finished the promo, and there's the promo up on the screen, and we see it. So it was cool to see, and then, yeah.
So you watch yourself on the giant Titantron?
Yes.
That's cool.
And
the people sitting near you were like, wait a minute, that was, but you're here.
No, I don't think they recognized it. I don't think they were that smart.
Oh, well.
But it was, you know, I'm glad we came in at the right moment, right before Punk.
Yes, you did. And now we got Punk versus Brock Lesnar. And what a physical match. This was just so hard-hitting.
I mean, just the anticipation from the crowd alone.
Crowd went nuts for Punk.
Yeah.
They were loud for Lesnar, too, but they were absolutely nuts for Punk.
Yeah.
So many great things in this match. I mean, it's one of those things where we're watching this match, and we're thinking like, no, they're stiffing each other. They're legitimately punching, really punching each other. Like, we're thinking these guys are going to knock themselves out because it was just so physical. And Punk, go ahead.
Well, there was what was fun was the little bits of comedy interspersed throughout. You know, with Heyman.
With Heyman.
And, you know, and Heyman is such a great strategy guy of you know, when he rounds out Punk around the ring, just and that way, you know, that's how Brock's able to catch him and whatnot. And just the greatest moment, for at least from the live audience, was when Heyman... Yeah, Punk has him by the tie.
From the tie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great spot where we're all in here like cheering. Is he gonna F5 because then Heyman's gonna get hurt? What's gonna happen? And sure enough, Lesnar eventually get him down. Punk took some nasty shots in this. He kind of sliced up his back on the announce table early on in this match and was dripping blood throughout the match from his back.
Which, it was, if you really break it down, for the first, I'll even say 5 minutes, it really was Bronx just beating the crap out of him.
Yes, it was.
And that's when it really worked the crowd in that way where they were just like, okay, CM Punk, and really got him up and going.
Yeah. And there was, power bombs and, with the no disqualification thing, all of a sudden the chair comes into play and they're just whipping that chair as hard as they can at each other, including Punk does his top rope elbow drop with the chair, which looked devastating, but did not get the job done at that point. Then we get the submissions. We're getting the Kimura lock. We're getting a triangle choke. We're getting an anaconda vice. Now they're countering each other in mat wrestling, not just brutality. So it was done so well. Punk eventually gets the GTS, hits it. We think that's going to be the end of the match, but Heyman breaks up the pinfall just in the nick of time. Then we get to that tie spot with Lesnar kind of putting him up there. And then again, Punk gets the anaconda vice on. We're thinking, is Brock Lesnar going to tap out? Because that's just be extraordinary. Heyman hops on the apron. Punk releases the hold, grabs him, gives him a good stiff shot right in the face, and then locks in the anaconda vice on Heyman. But that gave Lesnar the chance to get back on his feet, whip him with the chair, and then he delivered an F5 onto the chair, but the chair was the wrong side. I don't know if you noticed that. Normally, if you use the chair, you hit him on the flat side with it. He didn't do that. The chair was the other way, and Punk landed face first on it, and it just looked so devastating. And then Lesnar gets the 3 count and the win, much to a lot of people's surprise. But I think it's going to just keep on going. I was
certainly surprised, and it felt like a lot of the crowd was surprised, and I think surprised only because everyone really wanted Punk to win.
But I think Punk's going to get it. This is not over. They're going to have at least one more match, if not 2 more matches. Yeah. And who knows what else is going to happen with Heyman? Who knows if maybe we'll get another Heyman guy in the mix or whatever. But this was an absolute fantastic match. This is one of my favorite matches of 2013, of the whole year. By far, to me, the match of the night.
And you could just
fantastic.
Just 3 really great performers. You have to. You can't discount what Heyman did in that match.
Heyman was spectacular.
Yeah,
absolutely spectacular. Throwing his body around. Come on. He's an older guy. He's not a wrestler. He's clearly not in the greatest shape in the world. But he's running around. He's getting in there. He's doing whatever he can. And he does a great job.
Everyone was like, run, Penguin, run. Just all those references.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. All 3 of them were just great. From there, we need a match to kind of calm the crowd down to get ready before the WWE title match. So that's where we put the Dolph Ziggler and Caitlyn versus Big E, Langston, and AJ. This match, it was good. I don't really have anything, negative to say about it, but there was really nothing that jumped out at me during the match. It was like a good tag match.
Yeah,
it was. It was there. Kayla and AJ did their thing. Dolph and Big E did their thing.
I loved when Dolph whatever move he did, and then he turns to AJ and does like a pelvic thrust, basically saying "F you."
It might have been after his. It was either after his 10 elbows or just one of his drop kicks.
Oh yeah, it was the 10 elbows.
It was the 10 elbows.
Yeah. Because that was, it was a nice little surprise. Everyone's, they're doing the count 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 9, and then he stops and was like, "What's going on?" He does the thrust and then 10. So it was a nice little bit.
Yeah, and Caitlyn actually gets involved. Big E goes for the cover, but Caitlyn breaks it up, and it looks like Big E is staring down Caitlyn. Like getting ready. He's like, "Why did you just do this? I'm going to hurt you now." but Ziggler distracted him from that. The match eventually ends with Ziggler hitting the zigzag for the win.
I did like when it got chaotic when Dolphin Big E are fighting, and then AJ and Caitlyn are kind of doing their thing.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of what it was meant for. I think Big E and Dolph should continue because I think they should have a nice build to a good one-on-one match. And like I said, AJ Caitlyn, I think, is at this point run its course. Caitlyn finally got technically a win over AJ because her team won.
Yeah.
But still, AJ still looks strong because she wasn't one pinned. And now, like I was saying, maybe set up AJ and Natalya. Caitlyn kind of take a little back seat for now. And let's move someone else into the title picture. And AJ and Natalya, to me, those are the two best Diva wrestlers right now. So I think if they did that, the matches will be outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's all you need to say.
It was very enjoyable. And then we get to the main event.
Oh, right before the main event, though, we have one more segment with The Miz. He's talking, and then he gets interrupted again by Fandango. This was the theme. Miz was the host, appeared 3 times, and every time was interrupted by Fandango. And this time, Miz had enough, throws Fandango a right hand, and then leaves. And Fandango's like, What just happened? Why did he punch me? I don't understand this.
Fandango just likes to dance.
He enjoys the dancing. He does enjoy the dancing. So, yeah, it looks like either it'll just be a match tomorrow on Raw, or they're actually going to make a feud out of this. And hopefully they do make a feud out of it, because like we were saying earlier, I think it'd be good for both guys. But now, like you were saying, the main event, the WWE Championship on the line. John Cena defending against Daniel Bryan. How loud? I mean, we hear it enough from the TV, but being there, being ringside, how loud were those yes chants for Daniel Bryan?
Oh, they were fantastic.
I mean, every single person in that arena was going nuts for Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
It was absolutely spectacular. And then the typical mixed reaction, at least that's what it sounded like on TV, for John Cena.
Yeah, there were people who loved him, and then people just absolutely hated him. But I feel like the crowd was, you're kind of split between the middle of who do you want to ultimately win.
Who did you want to win?
Ultimately,
who are you cheering for?
I was cheering for a good match. I wasn't, to be honest. I honestly
copping out.
No, I honestly wasn't cheering for anyone in particular. And just the way they did it, the way they started off with such abnormal moves.
It was very slow at first. Like basic mat wrestling, headlocks, the backslide, all the very basic wrestling fundamental moves. Kind of started slow because they knew they were going to get a lot of time, and then it just gradually got faster and faster and picked up more and more steam.
But again, just even unusual in how like just the way they went about it, right? Go back to the moment when they kind of locked up, where they reached out hands. They grabbed the hands. Okay, then the other arm grabbed, and then Cena does his move and knocks Daniel Daniel down. So really interesting.
Yeah, because I mean they wanted to build up the crowd is pretty much what they were doing. They didn't. They needed to add substance.
Yeah. There was a point where John Cena is on top of him, and the crowd didn't know how to react because it looked like it was mounting him. Yes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you were talking about. But that's actually a move we don't see it very often in wrestling anymore. But that's a typical move where the wrestler's trying to get the guy's shoulders to the mat, and he's, in this case, Daniel Bryan's bridging up. So, all right, how am I going to get more weight on him? I'm going to jump on him. Yeah. But when he jumped on him, Daniel Bryan's just got such incredible leg strength, he didn't budge. So I can see how some people in the crowd, some immature people in the crowd were like, oh, that's an odd-looking position.
They got out of that move fast, right? Because I think they heard the reactions of the crowd, and they're like, okay, all
right, let's move on to something else.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was one in particular
something that really stuck out to me in this match was Daniel Bryan hit a superplex on Cena, but he wrapped his feet around the ropes. So after he delivered it, he was still on the ropes.
Oh, that was amazing.
Well, you never see that. I don't know. I don't remember if I've ever seen that. and literally pulled himself back up. So it was a combination of a superplex and then his top rope headbutt, which is, who thinks of that stuff? Apparently Daniel Bryan.
I mean, it was great to see because both kind of opponents had each other scouted, right?
Yes.
Meaning you see Daniel Bryan about to do his flip, right? For the second time in the match, I think it is. And Cena grabs him right then and there, expecting it, and then goes into a move right after.
Yeah.
I think there was one time where Daniel Bryan was ready to fly out, right? From between the ropes. And again, that kind of gets countered. So just knowing each other in that way and doing something new that we haven't seen was fantastic.
Definitely. I mean, there were so many great things in this. And then the finish of this match, to me, came out of absolute nowhere. Because it wasn't one of Daniel Bryan's signature moves. It wasn't anyone's finishing move. All of a sudden, Daniel Bryan runs and gives this huge knee to the side of the head of Cena. And he's down, and there's all of a sudden the 3 count. Triple H called the match completely fair, down the middle the entire time.
Here's what's interesting, right? So the big thing was going to be like, okay, he's an impartial referee.
Yes.
And when they were both outside the ring, he didn't really count. He started.
He was letting them go. He was just letting them do their thing.
Yeah, and so it would have been interesting to, I thought the angle at the time, and I think sort of the crowd was where he would just let them just beat the crap out of each other. There would be no rope breaks, nothing like that, where he just kind of let anything go and just not care who did what.
I mean, for the most part, he kind of let. I mean, there was occasion like when Cena got the rope from the yes lock applied. Triple H was doing the 5 count. But really, other than a couple little things, he just let them go and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And we get a brand new WWE champion.
The crowd went
the only comparison I can make with that reaction was when CM Punk defeated John Cena at that Money in the Bank in Chicago to win the title a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Because the crowd absolutely loved it. And we're going nuts here, but we're still thinking like, okay, what's going to happen with Orton? Or you sense that something was going to happen.
Here's the problem. I looked at my watch.
What? Oh, that's the problem. What did the watch say? Like 7:40?
Yeah, it said there's still a lot of time left.
There's still some time left.
And just again, part of it was also knowing that, okay, everyone wanted him to win. And so it's like, okay, you gave the crowd what they wanted. And the timing was perfect because it was at that, it was just at the time when you're thinking, okay, is Orton going to come out? Because it doesn't seem like he is.
And that was the thing that we were going with, was like, oh, wait, they're pulling it out. Triple H is still in the ring. Something's up because he hasn't left the ring yet. Cena shakes his hand and is like, no, something's got to happen. The confetti starts falling. The pyro starts going. We're like, oh, it's going to happen during the pyro. It's going to happen during all this. It's so great. And it's still not happening. We're just like, no, it's got to happen. Like, we're still like, there's got to be something. Finally, Orton's music hits. He slowly walks to the ring. He holds the briefcase up. Daniel Bryan is standing there. Triple H is standing behind him. We're thinking, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Randy Orton starts to turn around and walk away. I think, oh my God, this is the ultimate tease. There's nothing going to happen tonight. And then Triple H grabs Daniel Bryan, hits him with a pedigree. Orton walks in, hands Triple H the briefcase. I want to cash in now. Triple H rings the bell. Randy Orton makes the cover. And we have, in a matter of 2.5, 3 minutes, 2 new WWE champions as Triple H and Randy Orton are posing, celebrating with the title as SummerSlam goes off the air.
The crowd was so mad at Triple H.
Of course they were, and that's what they want.
I know.
And they did it so well. This was so well done. I was so happy about this because now you have Daniel Bryan chase, and you could build this all the way to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I really want tomorrow night on Raw Randy Orton to come out in the suit and tie. I want him to turn into a corporate champion.
And what I like about it is, I've always kind of been a Triple H fan, and so it sets him up for something if they want.
And then the question is, what happens with Vince and Stephanie? Are they going to be siding with
Cena?
Well, Cena with the elbow, I mean, he needs some time off because he was wearing that elbow pad, but the giant bump or whatever he has in his elbow was completely sticking out of it. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cena takes some time off to heal that injury because, dude, you're hurt. You need to do something with that, whether it's surgery or whatever. But they have Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan to start bringing off. They have Triple H there. I mean, they got the pieces that they can handle it without Cena for a little bit. And Stephanie and Vince, though, the thing, are they going to be siding with Triple H and Orton after this decision? Are they going to think it's wrong and all of a sudden we'll have a swerve and Vince and Stephanie kind of turn into the good guys against Triple H? They're building up. This pay-per-view has so many answers, but yet brings so many questions. And that is what a great pay-per-view should do.
But you know, what's interesting if you ultimately look at it, the way it was going to go, if Vince had his way, you know, Daniel Bryan would never win, right?
Sure.
But Triple H, he didn't affect the match.
No.
The winner was crowned. After that, it doesn't matter.
I'm sure on Raw, they're going to be like, Triple H is going to say something along the lines of, the same thing was going to happen no matter who won the match. I was still going to do it regardless. But maybe because Daniel Bryan did win the match, maybe Vince McMahon is going to suddenly have a newfound respect for him. We're going to have to wait and see because we have all these thoughts and all these questions, which is exactly what they want, which is going to make us tune in tomorrow night to Monday Night Raw, tune in Friday night to SmackDown, tune in all the way up to WrestleMania for this. So I thought they ended this tremendously.
I thought so too.
And you got to witness it firsthand, and I'm completely jealous of you.
It was a lot of fun. You know, I don't always gush over this stuff, and so to that point, I'll save that for Ryan Klum tomorrow.
Because Ryan tomorrow on Raw, I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about it.
And Kathy, she was there too.
Yes, so Kathy might talk about it a little bit too. So we will see. But in the meantime,
Kathy's gonna be like, this wrestler was hot in real life.
Oh, was she? Did she drooling over? Did she drool over Brad Maddox? Did she get a little Brad Maddox?
Didn't she? I saw Brad Maddox quite a few times. I don't know if Kathy did.
Oh, she must be jealous of you then.
I don't know.
Well, in the meantime, until they see you or hear you on AfterBuzz again, Phil, how can people reach out to you?
They can reach me through AfterBuzz TV, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
All right, well, you can do that. And you could follow me on Twitter at CRosieVOC. Tomorrow night, I'll be doing the Total Divas AfterBuzz. And, of course, like we said, Ryan Klum will be on the Monday Night Raw one tomorrow night. So hear more about being backstage and what it was like with that. So make sure you tune in for that.
And we'll be giving away chairs.
We got chairs for Raw and SmackDown to give away. So make sure you tune in to Try to Win Those. Thanks so much for listening to the SummerSlam After Show. For Phil Svitek, I'm Christian Rosenberg. We'll see you later.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.